Hello friends, we have start new video tutorial on how to use Ajax in Node.js application. And for understand how to use Ajax with Node.js application, we will make single page CRUD application. In Node.js application, and in this part, we will show you how to fetch data from MySQL database and display on the web page in HTML table format by using Ajax, so you can better understand. How can we use Ajax in Node.js Express application and build CRUD application? Now let's start discussing this topic. So this is our testing database. And under this, we have one sample data table with table column like it, first name, last name, gender, and age table column. So we will fetch data from this table and display on web page in HTML table format by using Ajax with Node.js. Now for use Node.js, first we need to download and install Node.js Express application. So here in command prompt, first we have go to directory, in which we want to create Ajax CRUD application. After this, here we have create one Ajax CRUD directory, so under this directory, we will download and install Node.js Express application. After that, for install Express generator, we have to run following command. This command will install Express generator. Next we want to install Express application. So for this, we have to run following command. So this command will install Express application. And in the above command, Ajax is a template engine of the Express. So after running the above command, you will get following instructions. Next we want to install dependencies, so we have to run following command, which will install dependencies, so this command will install Node.js Express application dependencies. After this, we have go to text editor, and here, we can see that Express application directory structure. So after installing Express.js application, then by default some file has been created, at the time of download of Express.js application. In Node module folder, all Node module will be downloaded under this folder. After this, in public directory, we can create JavaScript and style sheet static file. Next, in roots folder, we can create server-side script. And in views directory, we will create Node Express template file. So this is basic directory structure of this Node.js Express application. Now we want to first make database connection, so first we need to download MySQL module. So here in command prompt, we have to run following command. So this command will download and install Node Express MySQL module. So we can see that Node Express MySQL module has been installed in our Node Express application. Now we have go to text editor, and here we want to create database connection file. So here, we have create new JavaScript file in the root folder with file name like database.js, and here we will use this file for make MySQL database connection. And under this file, we have to write constant MySQL variable is equal to require function. And under this function, we have to write MySQL. So by using this code, it will include MySQL module under this file. After this, we want to define configuration for creating MySQL database connection. So here, we have to write constant connection variable is equal to MySQL.create connection function, so this function will make MySQL database connection. And under this function, we have to define MySQL database configuration in the JSON format. So first, we have to define host for MySQL database connection. So in first key, we have to write host, and in value, we have to write localhost. Next, we want to define database name, from which we want to connect out Node application. So for this, in the key, we have to write database. And in value, we have to write testing, and after this, we want to define username of the MySQL database. So for this, in the key, we have to write user. And in the value, we have to write root. And lastly, in MySQL database configuration, we want to define password of the MySQL database. So for this, here we have to write password, and in the value, we have to write blank. So after define this configuration, it will try to make MySQL database connection. Now we want to execute MySQL database connection. So for this, we have to write connection.connect function. So this function has been used for create a MySQL connection. And under this function, we have to write one callback function with error as parameter. Under this function, we have to write if statement. And under condition, we have to write error variable. So this condition will check if there is any error occur. Then it will execute if block of code, and under this block, we have to write throw error, so it will display database connection error. But suppose there is no any error occur, then it will execute else block of code. And under this block, we have to write console.log function. And under this function, we have to write MySQL database is connected successfully. Lastly, we want to publish this MySQL database connection. So for this, here we have to write module.exports is equal to connection variable. So here, our MySQL database connection code is ready. After this, we want to create one file in roots directory with name like sampledata.js. Under this file, we will write server-side script. Under this file, first we have to write express variable is equal to require function, and under this function, we have to write express. So here, we have to include express module, and under this file. After this, we have to create one router variable is equal to express variable.router function. So by using this function, we have create a new router object. After this, we want to include database connection file. So for this, here we have to write database variable is equal to require function, and under this function, we have to write /database. So after including this file, it will make database connection under this file. Now we want to create get root for load views file in the browser. So for this, here we have to write router variable.get function with two parameter. So in first parameter, we have to write slash, and in second parameter, we have to write callback function with three parameter like request, response and next variable. Under this function, we have to write response.render function with two parameter. And in first parameter, we have to write views file name sample data. And in second parameter, we have to define which data we want to send to view file. So here in key, we have to write title, and in value, we have to write Node.js Ajax CRUD application. Now in views folder, we have already created sampledata.ajs file. So we have opened this file, and under this file, we have already include bootstrap library link, jQuery library link. Now under this file, first we want to print title variable value, so here we have to write Node.js code syntax, and for print data, here we have to write is equal to sign, and after this, we have to write title variable, so it will print title variable value. Next here, we have to create one HTML table with it is equal to sample data. Under this table, we have create first table column like first name, last name, gender, age and action. After this, under this table, we have create one table body tag, so we will fill data under this tag. Now for fill data, we have go to jQuery code part, and here we have create one load data function. Under this function, we have create Ajax request for send request to Node.js server-side script. In first option, we have to write URL, and here we have to write Node.js Express application base URL. /sample data roots file name, /action root, so it will send request to this URL. In second option, we have to write method, and here we have to use post method for send data to server. In third option, we have to write data, and here we can define which data we want sent to server. So here we have to write action key with value like fetch. In fourth option, we have to write data type, and here we have to write. So it will receive data from server in JSON format, and lastly, we have to write success callback function with data parameter, so this function will be called if Ajax request completed successfully, and it will receive data from server. Under this function, first we have to write HTML variable is equal to blank value. After this, we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write data.data.length value is greater than 0, if this condition true. Then it will execute if block of code, and under this block, we have to write for loop, and under condition, we have to write count variable value is equal to 0. Count variable value is less than the value of data.data.length. And lastly, count variable value has been incremented by 1. Under this loop, we have to write HTML variable, and here we have to append HTML code like open and close table row tag, and between this, we have to create first table data tag. In first table column, we want to display first name table column data. So for this, here we have to write data.data with count index.first name table column name. In second table column, we want to display last name table column data. So for this, here we have to write data.data with count index.last name table column name. In third table column, we want to display gender table column data. So for this, here we have to write data.data with count index.gender table column name. In fourth table column, we want to display age table column data. So for this, here we have to write data.data with count index.age table column name. And in last table column, we will make edit and delete button, when we will discuss edit and delete data operation. So on every loop interval, it will store data, under this, HTML variable. Now we want to file sample data table, with data, so for this, here we have to write $with HTML table its sample data, with table body tag, with HTML function. And under this function, we have to write HTML variable, so it will display data, under this HTML table. Now this function is ready, and we want to call this function, when page has been loaded. So here, we have called load data function, so when page has been loaded, then it will execute this function. And it will display MySQL table data, in HTML format, on the web page. So here our jQuery code is ready. Now we have go to roots folder, sample data.js file. And under this file, we want to create route, for handle Ajax request, so here, we have to write router variable.post function, with 2 parameter, so here in first parameter, we have to write /action, and in second parameter, we have to write callback function. With 3 parameter like request, response and next variable. Under this function, we have to write action variable is equal to request variable.body.action variable, so here we have store action, post variable data, in local variable. Now we have to write if statement, and under condition, we have to write action variable value is equal to fetch, so if this condition true, then it will execute if block of code. And under this block, we have to write query variable is equal to select star from sample data table, order by it table column data, in descending order. So this select query will fetch data from sample data table. Now we want to execute this query. So for this, here we have to write database variable.query function, with 2 parameter. So in first parameter, we have to write query variable, and in second parameter, we have to write callback function with 2 parameter like error and data variable. Under this function, we can get MySQL table data from this data variable. So we want to send this data to Ajax request in JSON format. So for this, here we have to write response.json function, and under this function, we have to write data key, and in value, we have to write data variable. So this code will send data to Ajax request in JSON format. So here our code is ready, but before check output in the browser, first we have to define sample data file routes under this app.js file. So we have to open app.js file, and here we have to write sample data router variable is equal to require function. So under this function, we have to define sample data file path. So here we have to write one./roots folder name /sample data file name. After this, here we have to write app.use function with two parameter. So in first parameter, we have to write /sample data, and in second parameter, we have to write sample data router variable. So after register routes under this file, we can use sample data.js file. So here our code is ready. Now we have check output in browser. So first we have go to command prompt, and here we have run this command. So it will start Node.js server, and now we can check output in the browser. So here in browser, we have to write localhost with port number 3000. So after hit this URL, here we can see that Node.js Express application index page has been displayed on the web page. Now here in URL, we have write sample data, and press enter. So after, we can see that Node.js CRUD application title has been displayed. And below this, we can see that sample data table has been displayed in HTML table. So when page has been load, then it has called load data function. And this function has been send Ajax request to Node.js Express application. For fetch data from MySQL sample data table, and receive data in JSON format, which has been displayed on web page, in HTML table. So in this part, we have learned how to use Ajax with Node.js, and see how to fetch data from MySQL table. And in next part, we will learn how to insert data in Node.js Express application by using Ajax with Bootstrap model. So we will be meet in next part.